And welcome to another Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. I'm the faculty athletics representative, Dean Beckman. My co-host is the soon-to-be Hall of Famer at St. Mary's, our sports information director, Donny Nadeau. I will never tire of saying that, Donny.
Not gonna argue. I won't get tired of hearing it either.
And today our guests are with the St. Mary's University softball team. We've got head coach Sam Borawski and Justine Schultz, now a senior for the Cardinals and a psychology major. So we want to get caught up with the softball team, Donny, and it is good to be talking softball once again because we didn't get a chance to in 2020.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to just talk about softball. And as Justine said just before we started taping, Mother Nature wasn't too kind to them, dumping 4 inches of snow on us. But you know what? It's going to melt fast, and they'll be out on the field next week for their first home games. And I think we decided over 700 days. So it's been a long time since Cardinal softball has been here on campus. So we're excited about that.
Well, and Sam, you actually do have quite a few games under your belt already for this time in March. And so maybe get us caught up to date on where you've been playing and how things are going here to start the season.
Yeah. So far we've played 6 games. We've played one in the Rochester Dome against Luther. So that was a doubleheader. And then we played 2 doubleheaders up at University of Northwestern in St. Paul. So one against their team as well as against St. Scholastica. Usually at this time, we usually have about 10 to 12 games under our belt. So it's a little weird to only be like with 6, but 6 is better than none. So we'll take it at this point.
And of course, the big difference this year is no spring trip, right? Because normally you would have had that by now. So without that, that's probably the biggest difference in number of games, right?
Definitely. Yep. That would be the biggest difference since we're usually playing double headers every single day for a whole week.
So Justine, as Dean mentioned, you're a senior this year, and it's hard to believe that it's already been 4 years, but man, it flies by. Have you had a chance at all to think about this being your senior season and what you want to get out of this last year in a Cardinal uniform?
Yeah, so I actually think about it all the time. And I'm more so just kind of grateful for the experiences I've had like in the past and moving forward, particularly this year under the COVID circumstances and not knowing if we're going to have a season, what the season's going to look like. And obviously just grateful that everything's kind of working out in kind of our favor, it feels like this year. So just feeling grateful for our team and looking for the games ahead.
Sam, I think it's been so cool to have you playing for St. Mary's. You are a Winona native, of course. What's that been like for you? I'm sure you've always had lots of family and friends who are able to come to your game. Has it added any extra pressure, or has it just been one of those things where you're going to look back on and say, I'm really glad I made that choice to stay in town so everyone could come out and see me?
Steiner.
Okay. Yep.
Just did I say somebody else?
No, that's been awesome. That was kind of the main reason, one of the main reasons why I wanted to come to St. Mary's. Obviously I fell in love with school, fell in love with the program, but my family to be able to come and watch me play has been one of the biggest deciding factors that I've made. So that we can have fans this year come to our games, I think is super important. That means the world for me, not only for any other season, but particularly for my senior year.
And Sammy, we're speaking of firsts, and since it's the first time that we've got to have you guys on the show, talk a little bit about life as a head coach. You've taken over the reins here for this year, and a little different than being the assistant coach, right?
Yep, just a little bit different, I would say. But a lot of good stuff. We have a good team. We have a lot of returning players, a lot of good seniors who are already kind of helping and in that big kind of leadership role, as well as a lot of younger underclassmen who are looking to step up and play a big role. So it hasn't been too bad in that sense. They kind of run themselves and they're a force to be reckoned with. So it's fun to watch them play, and I just get to enjoy the ride with them, I guess, in a sense. So
what's been the biggest challenge? You stepped up from the assistant role to the head role. What's been the biggest challenge for you as the head coach compared to when you were the assistant?
I think it's still remembering the game balls for neutral site double headers, to be honest. I think I had her, Britt and Allie text me like 3 times over, did you bring the game balls? Because I have done that before. So I think it's still just remembering the little things and making sure we have everyone in the right place. I think that sometimes is the hardest part, but yeah, no, it hasn't been too weird. It's been pretty natural and normal. So it's been a good season so far, and looking forward to seeing what the ladies can put out in the next couple of games, especially this upcoming Sunday against Augsburg.
Justine, I think you have a new responsibility as a senior, and that is to help remind Sam to bring the game balls.
We give her reminders.
Yes.
Justine, a question I have for you is, was there any extra excitement going into this year just because of the fact that you weren't able to play last year? I know it was devastating news a season ago when the coaches had to tell you about the decision to cancel the season. So did that add some extra sort of oomph into the start of this season?
Oh, absolutely. You look back at last year, we go to Florida. We're pretty successful in Florida. You know, we're all thinking this is our year. We're going to do big things. And then that season kind of comes to a halt. And I think, of course, obviously those first few weeks after hearing the news about our season kind of being done, it was devastating, of course. But I think our group of girls were very determined that this next season, so this year, was going to be the best yet. So I know girls got to work. They got after it in the summer. They came back. And we put in a lot of work in the fall. And I think we're ready to go. So yeah, I think there's that extra like oomph and playing every game like it could be your last. Because I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. You know, we don't know what could happen tomorrow, next week. So I think we're all playing with that extra energy and mentality that, you know, this could be it.
You know, we talk about challenges and things you have to do differently. Justine, talk a little bit about playing with a mask. I know you play with a mask on all the time as the catcher, but what is it like to have to actually play the game with a facial covering on, whether you're batting or behind the plate or whatever it may be?
It was a little bit different at first. You know, you can't necessarily see in your peripherals as much. So it was a lot of adjusting. So I know for me, every practice, obviously we're all wearing them, so wearing it with my helmet all the time, but also even hitting. So with our batting helmets, there's some drills that we don't need our batting helmets to wear for, if it's softballs, life flights. However, most of the time I'm wearing my helmet. If you look around, I might be the only person in the gym wearing my helmet. That's just because I'm trying to get used to what that looks like so I can translate that into a game.
And Sammy, let's talk about practice. I know, like you had mentioned, usually about this time you're back from your spring trip and you're back in the rack. Now it looks like you're going to be back in the rack again today or tomorrow because of the snow. But how does as a coach, how do you have to adjust practice plans and what you want to accomplish when you can't get outside and you're back inside practicing in the Gostomski Fieldhouse?
Yeah, well, it's a love-hate relationship with the rack, that's for sure. You know, you love it because you actually can practice, but hate it because you wish you were outside. But in terms of practice planning, it's just kind of keeping it new and exciting and fresh every time. So going in with kind of a goal in mind every single practice. What do we want to accomplish today? What do we need to work on? And then kind of going from there. So is it going to be more of a drill day, or are we going to do more competitions? Just kind of keeping it different every practice. And I think we try and do a really good job with that. Of every practice, we might be doing something, the same fundamentals, but in a different way, and trying to keep it interesting for our ladies every single day they come.
Sam, I was going to say, just talk about this year's team a little bit. You've got a lot of really experienced seniors that you can lean on, like the Justine Schultzes of the world, Paige Goodmanson, Haley Williams is back again this year. So a lot of really good, not only talent, but leadership at the senior level. Just kind of walk us through the roster a little bit and kind of tell us what you see as the coach.
Yeah. Overall, I think in terms of this year's roster, we have a lot of depth, like in all different positions. So with COVID especially, it's been a little bit different in that we have some people who are playing a couple different spots, a couple different positions that maybe they normally wouldn't play. And that's one, just in case if anything should happen with COVID, but also two, they're playing those positions really well. So might as well give them the experience there. At the same time too, we have eight seniors. So that's really exciting because they're hungry. They want it every day, all the time you see them at the game, and they're the first ones who are like, hey, let's get after it. We know we can do it. So that's really exciting when you have kind of underclassmen. Probably our next biggest class is of sophomores. So that's great leadership for those sophomores who now then can see and know, hey, this is what we need to do and this is how we can win. But in general, I think everyone plays a big role on the team. So no matter what, if it's from a starter to a pinch hitter to starting the second game only, I think a lot of our ladies have been doing a good job of coming in and playing the role that we need them to do, especially in this last game when we put up 12 runs against St. Scholastica. So it was a whole team effort, and everyone did what they were supposed to.
Justine, the question I have for you, if you could just think a little bit or tell us non-softball players, as you mentioned, you have to practice in the rack. You've had 4 games on turf. You've had 2 games in a dome. You'll have 2 more games in a dome on Sunday, and then you'll probably, hopefully, get outside next year. Is it hard to adjust from playing surface to playing surface, dome to non-dome? What's it like as a player, and is there a big adjustment from one to the other?
I don't necessarily think there's big adjustments. I think it's just kind of like the game of softball. So a little adjustment to hit can be the difference between you getting out or being safe. So I think that's the mentality that we've kind of been going at. Like, we're put in these situations, we just got to adjust. If it's an inch of adjustment, I think we can make that work out. Obviously, there's things that we can do to practice differently. If it's the ball's traveling faster on the turf, or if it's going to die in the dirt, there's things we can do to prepare that way. But I think they're just small adjustments. And I think our team is very good at making those adjustments and kind of just going with the flow.
Justine, you heard Sam talk about the roster. What does it look like from a senior perspective? What do you see as some of the strengths on this team, and where are some needed areas of improvement early in the season yet, of course, but from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I'll echo Sam, exactly what she said. You know, we have depth in all these different spots. I'd feel comfortable catching for any defense that gets thrown out. We make those adjustments, like I had said as well. And we have leadership roles every grade. You might hear a senior say something one day, and maybe, they're using their voice that day. 10 minutes later, you could hear a freshman using their voice and speaking up. One of the great things about our team, I think, is the chemistry that we have together. We're a very tight-knit group. We like to hang out, do things together, but we can get on each other. We're competitive, we compete with each other. And I think that really pushes people, like Sam said, about the depth of our team. If we have multiple people in the position, they're fighting every day to get better and push each other. So I think that's something that our team has. And I think that's what will make our team successful down the road, is just that competitive edge that we all have. And I think that's something that we'll take forward.
Justine, I'm not going to go through the list because it's like really long. We talk. Jeez.
There you are.
we talk about time management, and I don't know how you find enough time in a day. And if you could just briefly talk a little bit about all the other things that you're involved in, because fast pitch softball is just one of the many things that you do as a student athlete here at St. Mary's.
Absolutely. So me and Sam, we work on the Green Bandana Project. We also ran a virtual walk. So we raised money for the Green Bandana Project in the fall. I'm the president of Psi Chi. I'm on SAC, Psychology Club, many different things here.
And how do you juggle them all? How do you find time to do all of that?
Yeah, I think I enjoy every single thing I do. So it doesn't really feel like work. It just feels like something that I get to do. So really, yeah, it doesn't even feel like I have to make time for them when it's a priority for me.
And Sam, if you want to just step in there, because I know you are the advisor for SAC, and you and Justine work real close together on a lot of projects. Talk a little bit about your role with SAC and how you're able to find enough time being the head coach of a sport to do that as well.
Well, it also comes down to leadership there. So I think we have really driven student athletes in SAC and just in general. And so if they put their mind to a project, they can get it done. I don't like to take the credit because, kind of, as I always say, Justine is the brains to the Green Bandana Project. I just help get her the resources she needs to get it done. So I'm the bridge between the two. So I take no credit in that, aside from just helping make those big things happen. Same thing with SAC. I think we have a great leadership group, especially in our president, Claire Patterson. And same thing there. She kind of is the lead and takes priority on all those projects. And I'm just here to help give hopefully good advice and be a bridge to a lot of different connections.
Justine, I suppose as a psychology major, you're used to being called the brains of the operation.
Yeah, every now and then. There's always Justine, a little psychology joke in there.
Yeah. Justine, talk a little bit about, you're also a leadership minor. And so that's kind of a nice option we have here at St. Mary's for students who do want to kind of take those skills to the next level. What has that done for you?
Oh, that's been the greatest, I think, thing that has come out of St. Mary's in terms of my academic career-wise, because I think that's something that can apply anywhere. It helps apply to my psychology classes, on the field, in the classroom, taking on those leadership responsibilities and knowing how to be a better leader yourself and how to get other people to be a better leader around you. So I think those classes have really been a driving force to really get me going, to know that, hey, like, I can do this. I can start the Green Bandana Project here on campus. I can be in these clubs. I can take on these roles. It really just gave me the confidence to do that.
And Justine, I guess as we look forward, and I'm hoping you've got about 45 to 50 games left in the season. What are your plans after St. Mary's? What's the psychology major going to propel you into doing?
Yep. So next year I'm going to get my master's at Minnesota State University Mankato in sports psychology.
Excellent. That is exciting news. And then eventually, what do you hope to do with that? Would you be like a team psychologist, or what's your end goal? Or maybe you don't know yet either.
Yeah, that's the goal. So the goal is to be a sport performance consultant, hopefully work with teams, and eventually run kind of my own consulting company. So that's kind of the dream goal.
Would you ever consider working with adult men's slow pitch softball teams? Because I know one that could probably use your help in the future.
I'm a little personal there.
I had a feeling that something was going to come that way. Dean needs a little bit of psychology help. He definitely needs a little help in that realm. Yeah. They won't let me. His team won't let me be the bookkeeper, because in their world, if you get on base, it's a hit.
It's a hit. Doesn't matter how. Doesn't matter how.
If you 4 feet over the guy's head, it's a hit.
You got to earn your way on.
That's right. They won't let me do it. Well, Justine, usually at this time we have questions all set up that we know we're going to ask you guys just for a little bit of fun, but we don't have any set up, so we're going to go off the tops of our heads. At least try and remember a few of the ones that we've done in the past. And Sammy, you get to play too.
Okay.
So the first question: you're on a road trip and you're hungry. What's the automatic go-to stop for dinner?
McDonald's.
Oh my
God. Quick McChicken. Go-to McChicken.
Justine, I think Donnie had higher nutrition hopes for you or something.
I just had higher hopes in general. Oh, McDonald's.
How about you, Sam? What's your go-to stop on the road trip?
Quick Trip.
You and Kyle Brown would get along well.
You know what's interesting, Justine? We asked almost all of our student athletes. We asked that same question, and I swear 2 years ago, every one of them would have said Chipotle. Every single one of them, and I never understood it. And now nobody says it anymore. It's McDonald's. Oh my Lord, Justine.
Let's
Okay,
talk playlists. You're warming up for before a game. Justine, what's on your playlist? And Sam, how might that differ from Justine's? We'll let Justine go first.
Our playlist, very different playlists. So if I'm riding on the bus, I like to be calm, right? So I'm playing, soft music, calm my nerves. When I get out, when I'm warming up, getting hyped up, then it's more, the hip hop, pop, that type of stuff. Sam,
Okay. All right.
tell them yours.
Oh, thank you. Well, the girls love it because I usually put some on at practice, but if you're walking through during practice, we'll have a little bit of K-pop as well as some pop and some, hip hop rap maybe if it's clean. But otherwise, yeah, you can sometimes hear some Korean pop, and that's my go-to.
All right. That's exciting.
Get you hyped.
Peter, if you could sit down with anybody and talk sports, who would you pick?
Boy, anyone. Probably Derrick Rose, basketball player. Went through a bunch of injuries, kind of had to work his way back up, and I think that's really cool because I went through an injury myself when I tore my labrum in my shoulder, so I think he'd be a cool guy to talk to.
Sammy?
Maybe Jen Schro. She's a catcher, a former catcher for UCLA, and I've listened to her speak at some conferences, and she talks a lot about catching, and she's really good at it. So she might be someone fun to talk to, or even Sue Enquist from the coaching side of things. She's pretty got an interesting mind. Be fun to hear something from her.
How about your favorite athlete? Any sport, any gender, any year? Who's your favorite athlete of all time?
So mine's probably either, again, Derrick Rose. Yeah, probably him.
Sammy?
Favorite athlete of all time? I feel like I have a lot, and they always switch. Maybe Megan Willis. She's a catcher.
Because she's looking over your shoulder?
I have a signed copy of her picture. So that's how what's your name? Oh, I remember.
That's a good choice.
I thought it was going to be Patrick Kane, but I guess.
Oh, no.
Okay, Steiner, I'll let you answer this one first, and then Sam has to answer it. You have two teammates that are stuck on a deserted island together, just the two of them. Which two should not be stuck on the same island together?
Probably Marissa Kleckler and Amy Plaga. I think they would butt heads after about 2 days.
Okay, Sammy, we'll flip it. Sammy, which two should be on that same island together?
I feel like I have to think through it. I was gonna say for shouldn't, but should too. Me and Allie. I feel like we shouldn't be on an island together, but we could be on an island together if we needed to. So,
and that, of course, is your sister and this year's assistant coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to ask.
Dean?
I'm going to ask one more, and I want Sam to tell me her favorite Justine story, and I want Justine to tell me her favorite Sam story from the last 4 years. So Justine, why don't you go first? What's your favorite Sam story?
Favorite Sam story. My favorite might be from 2 weeks ago. So we were practicing and we were talking over a game plan, and we were all kind of we're hyped up It was a fast-paced practice. And I asked Sam a question or something, and she looked at me, told me the answer, and then she said something. She takes her 2 fingers, puts it on my shoulder, and gives me a shove. And then it was silent for a second. It was dead silent. I go, "Did you just push me?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess I did." So now we go up to each other and we just use a 2-finger shoulder shove to hype each other up.
I can't tell you why. I don't know what I was thinking. So, but I'm glad that was funny. I guess from this season, another funny one was, I don't remember what we were doing, but I tried to hit something and it really didn't pan out the way I thought it would. And I turn and look at Justine, who was catching at the time. I go, well, that's just slightly embarrassing. And then I went back to hitting, and she started laughing. And I was like, well,
I was like, slightly?
Like, it was one of those moments. And I was like, yep, slightly, only slightly embarrassing.
One more question from me, and then I'll let Donnie wrap things up. How exciting is it to have a softball player going into the Hall of Fame this year? You've got Jackie Hegel from 2003.
Well, it's super exciting. Anytime a softball player, former softball player, has been being recognized is an exciting time for the program, because you get to highlight all their great achievements and kind of get to see all the good stuff about the St. Mary's Fast Pitch program.
Yeah, I think it's a push. I think it's a push for our team. When you see someone like that, you can get there. So I think just to keep working hard and, know that that's something that you could have one day.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie, I'll let you wrap things up.
Or you just last a long, long time. Okay. Justine, I know you're a psychology major. You're a very smart person. I'm just curious how well you can spell.
I'm not a good speller. So
I would like you to spell Morgan's last name.
I couldn't even tell you how to say it.
I guarantee you I can't tell you how to spell it. I mean, say it. I have to learn how to spell it. So I need some help.
All right.
Sammy?
Yeah, John Jakowski. Ready? D-Z-I-O-N-D-Z-I-A-K-O-S-K-I.
You missed the W at the end.
All right. I don't have it, I couldn't even remember what
I can write it down in heartbeat for her.
Justine, as a Winonan, I thought you might have known that.
Well, this is how I would have done it. I would have said D-Z-I-O-N-J-O-N-K-A. That's it. That's all I would have done.
I'm not making fun of Morgan at all, and I'm glad she's a freshman and going to be here for 4 years, but I have never in my 26 years had a name that long, and I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Morgan, you're blowing Donnie's mind.
You are absolutely, you have blown my mind.
All right, Sam Borawski, the interim head coach for the Cardinals softball team, Justine Schultz, senior catcher for the team. Thanks for joining us here on the Cardinals Nest. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, gang.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching Cardinals Nest.